Okay, so we're done with the introduction. Let's see if it works. I hope you're all ready. Someone, please all unmute. Please mute yourself. There's one person who's quite loud. Okay, perfect. So let's see what's going to happen. Go.
אם חנה ארנדט מאופיינת בתור אינטלקטואלית, זה כמישהי ששוברת קלישאות.
The philosopher Martin Heidegger recognized that she was special. Quickly they developed a personal relationship which lasted through Hannah Arendt's life.
For me, as a Jew, Germany means my mother tongue, philosophy and literature.
Oh, fuck.
I think non-thinking is even more dangerous.
So it is this non-thinking adoption of fascist, racist ideologies, which she is saying became normal, which is why we have to be all the more alert.
She saw Eichmann as the little man, the bureaucrat. Move these Jews here, and so he moves them.
Ich war wirklich der Meinung, dass der Eichmann ein Hanswurst ist. Das habe ich eigentlich gemeint mit der Banalität.
People went berserk. As late as 10 years ago, I'd give a lecture on Eichmann in Jerusalem, and somebody in the audience would get up and start screaming at me.
For many years, we have met Germans who declare they are ashamed of being Germans. I've often felt ashamed of being human. All nations share the onus of evil committed by all others.
She doesn't fit any traditional category. She's not a classical liberal. She's not a classic Marxist. She's not a classic conservative. She enjoyed such renown precisely because she was an independent thinker.
The life she led, she has become like a prophet out of the Hebrew Bible.
So this was the trailer, the first scene, finally with sound. So I'm going to tell you a bit about people because I've been in tech for a long time now, considering my age, and the best I am is talking about people, not about tech. So some of you might know one of these two guys. Some of you might have a clue what they are doing, how they are related, if they are brothers or friends, or if they have worked together. Some might have get the clues that this is actually one person. It's both the same person. The person's name is Much. And Much recently it was announced that he is now the head of security for Twitter. So I first heard about this guy. I never knew him. I'm not a hacker. I'm not deep into tech, so I never heard about Much. I think a lot of you have heard, or some of you might have heard the name before. But I saw this announcement and I got interested, and I especially got interested by this part of the screenshot. So this screenshot is like 3 or 4 months old. It was at the beginning of when, it must have been 3 months because it was at the time when Ruslan asked me to hold this presentation. A lot of stuff has happened in between. A lot of stuff has happened on Twitter, out of Twitter. And as far as I know, he is still the head of security. Trump, for example, is not a part of the Twitter community anymore. And I really loved the sentence to read, like what's behind the sentence. Appointing one of the world's best regarded hackers to tackle everything from engineering missteps to misinformation. So he's head of security. He's not only responsible for engineering problems, but he's also responsible for other security issues. He's responsible for misinformation issues. So they choose the baddest guy in the world considered by the hacker community to take care or take responsibility for the security of Twitter. I found this article on, it must have been Angel, I received it via email, and it must have been not Angelus, but what's the other platform? It doesn't matter, but this is what he commented underneath. Yeah, it was 1 day after, or 3 days after, no, 1 day after he was announced. And yeah, I've only been calling him much before, but you will find his name somewhere in the other links, and his name is Peter Satko. Yeah, and he truly believes in the mission of serving the public conversation about tech, about whatever. I'm talking about perception of people, like how people perceive their self, how people look at their self, and how we look at people. This is a typical way we look at hackers in movies, like they are some kind of rebels. They all have they need dark background. They have to be some way of mysterious. And we have a typical way of looking at white collar people. So we look at them, they look serious, they sit straight, and yeah, somehow every one of us knows that they have blood in their hands or at their hands. It's unavoidable somehow. But as I said, I want to let this be a combination of me talking and other people talking. So I will show you a scene out of this McMafia where a white collar person slowly shifts into becoming a bad guy. So I will not spoiler this series on Netflix, but I will give you 2 other interpretations of how to act responsible and how to act with the power you are given. I didn't know before as well, but some of you might know that Peter Pan as well as Peter Spider-Man, they both like this. There's this quote, and I only knew it from Spider-Man, and while Googling it, I found out that it also already older. So Spider-Man actually stole this phrase from Peter Pan, and they are quite close, but they are slightly different. So there must come power, there must also come power. But I want, like in the further slides, I want to go into that not only with great power comes great responsibility, with every power comes great responsibility. So let's get back to Hannah Arendt again. She was interviewed, and I cut off the first minutes to make it not be too long, but still it's going to be a quite long but even more interesting interview.
Ich glaube nicht, dass es irgendeinen Denkvorgang gibt.
Der ohne persönliche Erfahrung.
Das heißt, alles Denken ist Nachdenken. Der Sache nachdenken. Nicht? Ich lebe in der modernen Welt. Und selbstverständlich habe ich in der modernen Welt meine Erfahrung. Im Übrigen ist das ja von vielen anderen auch festgestellt worden. Sehen Sie, die Sache mit dem Arbeiten und Konsumieren, die ja in meiner Darstellung nur 2 Seiten desselben Phänomens sind, das heißt dieses Kreislaufs, in dem das Leben schwingt, alles Lebendige schwingt. Das ist deshalb wieder so wichtig und wie mir scheint auch unheilvoll, weil wieder darin eine Weltlosigkeit sich kundtut. Es liegt einem nichts mehr daran, wie die Welt aussieht.
Welt immer verstanden als Raum, in dem Politik entsteht.
Ja, nein, nun noch viel größer gefasst. Als Raum, in dem Dinge öffentlich werden. Als Raum, in dem man wohnt. Und der anständig aussehen muss, in dem natürlich auch Kunst erscheint, in dem alles Mögliche erscheint. Sie besinnen sich, Kennedy hat versucht, den Raum des Öffentlichen ganz entscheidend zu erweitern, indem er die Dichter und sonstige Taugenichtse ins Weiße Haus geladen hat. Nicht? Also das alles könnte noch mit in diesen Raum gehören.
I always confuse Taugenichtse und Nichtsnutze as well. So She's not to be blamed here. So she's talking about Kennedy, who was inviting the artists, he was inviting the good for nothings to come to the White House to have an open discussion. I think this is not what she's talking about, like people entering politics because they got it. I have to turn off my WhatsApp phone 1 second. Okay, better. So people entering politics uninvited because they were invited to be aggressive, invited to fear, invited to have bad feelings. That's not what she's talking about. She's more talking about, I'm not going into current politics here, but she's talking about moments like this. She's talking about this picture. I think every one of you has seen this picture before, and I think there are many interesting aspects in this picture. I'm always biased about, like, is this a good moment, or is this a moment where he's showing off, or is this a moment which was in some way arranged? When I look at the guy in the background, the guy with the bright red tie, I think Obama knows that there's a camera. This guy accepting the fist or giving the fist bump on the right side, he knows there's a camera. But this guy with the red tie, he doesn't know that there's a camera. Or this picture is so brilliantly set up that he knows that there's a picture, but going to happen. But they told him to act normal. But this is the conspiracy. I think the real situation here is that these two guys in the background, they just happen to be in the moment which everyone in this room knows by now. And also I like the expression in Obama's face. He doesn't look like he's happy about creating this moment. He's just like having a day and embracing people. A more local moment of politics I want to express with this picture. So we have a new Oberbürgermeisterin in Aachen. And I was quite shy to get involved in the discussion about the election before, because I was always like on and off about, like, yeah, this is exciting, we will get a new Oberbürgermeisterin. And on the other hand, I thought, yeah, but this is she has a really professional campaign, so that she's playing and acting with this image of her. So she knows that she's the person among artists. She's the person who's like, people ask for change. And I think she also knew that she cannot change as much in the future as some people might be accepting, because like there's this famous quote of Mike Tyson, like, every plan is good until you get punched in the face. So, and everyone gets hit by reality at some point. And but I really loved seeing this campaign and seeing like how to see a person who was starting in this artist area and like working for artists. I don't know if she's even an artist herself, but going into politics and deciding, or like going into a bigger stage of politics. So let's see what the future brings. I also took a picture of like startup lives, how people in startup life consider themselves, to look at themselves. This is a picture like when I started with ACE, or somewhere in this time. This was a quite typical picture how people identified themselves. Those guys, of course, Steve Jobs and stuff like this. And I'm saying guys here because there's no girl in the picture. It's like this. I've met a lot of inspiring girls in the startup scene and women in the startup scene, but there's none in the picture. I remember that in the investment office there was one, and then there was another one, the one who was even better than like the one before. So she she got there because she was a bit weird in her brain, but somehow she was considered as one of the best investors. And this is a way like techies look at themselves, or at least this is how movies think that techies look at themselves. So this picture also shows that sometimes I'm quite nostalgic. It's an old movie. It's I'm bad with names, but I remember that I watched it 2 times, and 2 times in different ages, and I can remember like this weird atmosphere and like this weird kind of hacking, and I loved it. And I remember this movie, even this is not my time. It's Wall Street, where there's this like old bad white collar guy, and then there's the young one, and the young one follows the path of the old one. It's a bit like Star Wars. The young one follows the path of the old one, and in the end, the young one goes to the police and stops the old one from being evil. There's also one evil person, in at least one evil person in this picture as well. I remember my what I will watch this movie again after the presentation. Not I didn't watch it before, but I think I remember who was the evil girl or guy, but I don't want to spoiler. So watch it yourself. And I'm even more confused who's the bad guys in this picture. I think a lot of you remember this guy, at least from the poster. And if there's one person who doesn't know if he's good or evil in this picture, then it's he himself. Yeah, but I cannot remember his name. I don't know. That's why no one will remember your name. But I remember why I was searching for this picture. I was searching for pictures shooting Trojans. Trojans. I was searching for viruses, and then I was searching for Trojans. Is there anyone in the room who can recall the first name of a Trojan? Is there anyone who was born before 1975? Okay, so it's not your blame because the first Trojan was programmed in 1975. It was called Animal. Animal because it was trying to. I was in the beginning. I thought it was like this theory of raptors, and where you. But it's not something about this. But it's even easier. It tracks back to a game which all of you can know, I guess. These games were called animal programs. They are kind of riddles. And these are the games where you have to answer 20 questions. And after 20 questions, the program knows which animal you are. And these games were so popular in this time that the first Trojan was used in one of these games. So it was implemented in one of these games to make it as viral as possible. And then I searched for a fitting scene in Troja in the movie, and I was looking for this scene, but then I realized, okay, this scene is even more interesting for what I want to tell with this whole story here. So let's look at the next movie scene. So I think the message I wanted to say, send with this scene is that nobody wants to go to war. Nobody wants to go for their country. Nobody wants to go to war for their company. Nobody wants to go to war in their company or in their private life. But sometimes we are all affected by battles. We start them ourselves, and sometimes we realize afterwards on which side we were. And I choose this picture, the movie Romeo and Juliet. I was born 1986, so this was a very famous movie in my puberty, so like when I was 15, 16, something like this. And it's a, as you know, Romeo and Juliet, it's an old story, so I can spoil it as much as I want, because everyone has at least heard about Romeo and Juliet. So their name is not forgotten. So the whole story is a bit more complex, but it's basically, in the end, nobody knows who started the war. Nobody knows why they are fighting, and yeah, two people in love, and they kill each other, kill themselves after they know each other for 2 weeks, I guess. At least it looks like this in the movie. So basically, art shows human. I think a lot of you know this guy as well. I don't know what the name of the character was, but he was famous for something called Ponzi scheme. So I don't have to give you the details, but basically it means that you rip off the money of other people. And yeah, I tried to track this idea of Ponzi back, and I found an interesting story about this guy Ponzi. But in the end, the most exciting story I found on Wikipedia, and at least Wikipedia said she was the inventor of the Ponzi scheme, and her name is called Spitzeder. Spitzeder was a woman from Munich, and yeah, she was able to get a lot of money out of people's pockets by creating a bank. She was creating a really crude system of banks, and yeah, in the end, she was really be known as a person who's she did a lot of charity. She gained the trust of a lot of people. She was in the eyes of the people, she was a very beautiful person until everything, like all her lies broke together. And what she was like, if you look at the Wikipedia article, I was working in a company for 1 year now, where the only articles I could read is Wikipedia and yeah, some not restricted sites, but mostly Wikipedia. So what she was really good at is marketing. So she was like, she created a lot of stuff where like this guy did, like she created like this whole idea of her as a person. And she caused, like, this idea of a person caused that a lot of people committed suicide because they got bankrupt, like they lost all their money. And somehow in the end she managed to she was also bankrupt in the end, but she managed to resettle and get back to friends who stayed with her. So we will never know what kind of the Wikipedia story shows the real Frau Spitzeder and the wrong one. But maybe she had some kind of theater moment, and it was only after, there's this quote, it's only after we've lost everything that we are free to do anything. Maybe she became a good person after she lost everything. Yeah. And there's another quote from Fight Club, it's which the things you own end up owning you. So if you're not paying for it, you're the product. So no, this this made sense for a second, and I got too close to my notes, which I was. Yeah, and sometimes our perception is just confusing us. Let's get back to tech. I had some really fucked up cookie moments last year where I really got into started hating cookies. It's mainly because I know a girl from Munich who's really deep into mathematics and into computer awareness, and she's always posting stuff on Instagram, funny stuff about like don't click cookies, and at some point I picked up some of her ideas. And yes, sometimes you're forcing people to do the things they don't want to. And working I was working in a tech hotline for the last year, and a lot of times people ask me, so should I click accept everything or shouldn't I? This was always a tricky moment for me because I tried to lie as less as possible, but sometimes it's the easy way to tell them, yeah, click everything. Sometimes it takes 1 minute more to make them realize, okay, maybe I don't want to click everything. Most of the people, they just want to click everything, but you should at least give them a chance. It makes this picture I choose because I realized that we have a lot of misconception about tech as well. So I realized this while working for Jodel with Russland for some time. I realized that people think they are anonymous. They tell me, and on the other side, it's so obvious. Like at one point, people started discussing this triangulation theory, like not theory, but possibilities. It was always there, but it took some time for people to realize, okay, that their geolocation is not anonymous, that you are I hate this word. I love it. I love to write it, but I hate to word it. Vulnerability, Verletzlichkeit. So that's a really important word in security and working with digital products, because you're dealing with the Verletzlichkeit of people. And that's like before even like 25 years after the like this Trojan story I told you before, there was a really famous love letter virus. So it was one of the first and biggest cyber attacks that I realized. So I realized it was 5 years before my before my Abitur. So I was already using computers, and the landscape has changed. So way more people were on the net now. This means that if there are more people on the internet, it also means that there are more verletzliche people on the internet. So it's not a space for techies anymore. And then this love letter virus came, and it included, of course, the most verletzliche space in life. They were attracting people who seek for connection, and they were really quite successful and shared a lot of accessed a lot of devices. Another vulnerability, Verletzlichkeit, is of course sexuality. A lot of people got ripped because they were told, hey, I installed something on your camera. I saw you having sex, or I saw you watching porn. I saw you masturbating. Everything what is embarrassing. And the people, they paid to get back their feeling of security, and they paid like 100 euro to 200 euro, because if the amount would be higher, you would actually like think, okay, maybe I should involve a lawyer or somebody who can help me get out of the situation. But embarrassing situations are a very good way to attack people. And there we are, health. People, of course, are very verletzlich when it comes to health. And I think the biggest fear of people in health is that people get their private data about health. but it's not about which pills they take. It's not about like the amount of the pills. It's about being vulnerable. And when you're not healthy, you're vulnerable. So you guys have to choose to be crazy. But you have to choose to be crazy in a good way, because you're dealing with people who are verletzlich. You're dealing with old people. You're dealing with people who are using your products because they are in a weak moment. And I picked up the story of I had two stories which I was able to pick up. One was close to the porn story. There was a cyber attack on data on mental health. It was not that big in size, but it was really big because like the people didn't want to share their it was really bad for the people who got affected. A different one I picked up is from the Deutsche Rote Kreuz. And the interesting part is that they also got attacked. They had an attack, but some months before the attack and before all their data about their customers, about their clients, about their Patienten got shared, 18-year-old boy already did the exact same attack to their system. But the DRK, they were too embarrassed to follow through with this being attacked by an 18-year-old boy. And in the end, the embarrassment was still there and they still got attacked. And yeah, a lot of people know the story about that they got attacked, but there are also people who know that it could have been maybe not prevented if they just had followed the embarrassing part in the beginning. This is something I'm not in your business, but this is something which even got me thinking more about this, like bring people to do things they don't want to, because that's basically my job. My job is user experience, and if I follow one path, it's making people things they don't want because it's beneficial for what I want, or I can make people do what they want and afterwards realize that's not what they wanted, that's what they told they want me. So I can keep on talking like this in 5 or 6 varieties. But I think the most important part in this story is to stay honest to yourself and try. You will never do everything right. You will never do all things right, but at least try to be honest. When all are guilty, no one is. Confessions of guilt, collective. No, let me start. In 2 minutes, I'm done. When all are guilty, no one is. Confessions of collective guilt are the best possible safeguard against the discovery of culprits, and the very magnitude of the crime the best excuse for doing nothing. Also nicht nur selber immer zu unterprüfen, ist das, was ich gerade richtig mache, sondern ein kollektives Bewusstsein zu entwickeln für die Sachen, die man richtig zu tun hat. Das ist, glaube ich, der zweite wichtige Aspekt bei dem, was ihr macht und was ich mache. Und der wichtigste überhaupt, die besten Menschen sind die mit Flausen im Kopf, dem Arsch in der Hose und dem Herz am rechten Fleck. Und damit bedanke ich mich für eure Aufmerksamkeit. So. Yay! Danke, Russland.